Continue here live from Green Bay, where the Atlanta Falcons have just made Jalen Walker from Georgia the 15th pick in the draft. The Arizona Cardinals are on the clock now. They will select next, and Cincinnati, Seattle, Tampa Bay, and Denver will round out the top 20 picks before we get to Pittsburgh at number 21, and that's the next spot where we might expect to see a quarterback. Mel, how about Arizona and what we should expect from the Cardinals here at 16?
Well, I talked about Calais Campbell going back there, so you look at that defensive tackle, you think about a guy like Shanae Barron or Will Johnson, cornerback there, and being very versatile, and then Matthew Golden, that third receiver, that speed option. Matthew Golden ran 4.29 on the heels of a heck of a year. He was the go-to guy for the Texas Longhorns. I was surprised Kettle McMillan went ahead of Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden, after coming over from the Houston Cougars, was outstanding. You know, he had, I think, 2 drops all year, concentration drops. This kid comes to play. He's a professional playing that wide receiving spot. So they have some really good options set up here. I think we'll see where they go. Do they go defense? Because, like I say, Calais Campbell is there. So he mentor a young defensive tackle? Or do they go corner, safety like Barron or Will Johnson, or help out wide receiver with Kyler Murray getting Matthew Golden?
Well, that's what I was going to say. And you talk about helping a young quarterback. It doesn't necessarily need to be wide receiver. You can help him with an offensive tackle also to protect him up front. That seems to be the thing, helping these young quarterbacks. Look what they did in Carolina. They went and got a receiver. Help the young quarterback. Look what they did in Chicago. Went and got him a tight end. You got to help him, whether with some weapons on the outside or protection up front.
Yeah, look, Jonathan Gadden, the head coach down there, former defensive coordinator, basically runs the defense. They just can't rush the passer very well down there. They need some juice off the edge. They need some juice on the inside. Look, they went and signed Josh Sweat from free agency. Josh Sweat from the Philadelphia Eagles, who wound up pairing it up in the Super Bowl against Kansas City. And you're right, they still do need wide receivers.
And they drafted one, obviously, last year high in the draft, and Marvin Harrison Jr. had something of an up-and-down season in his first year there with Arizona when their quarterback, Kyler Murray. So the Cardinals pitch is in, and the commissioner is making his way to the stage for the announcement of the Cardinals at 16.
With the 16th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Walter Nolen, defensive tackle, Mississippi.
In 2 colleges, first at Texas A&M, then an outstanding season at Ole Miss with 6.5 sacks, where he was a consensus All-American and a finalist for the Outland Trophy.
Yeah, production this year was not the problem. He had as many tackles for loss and sacks just one season as Mason Graham, who we really like, had in 2 seasons combined. So for Walter Nolen, the talent, I like the versatility, guys. You can move him around, and he can be disruptive. And I think the fit, you have Calais Campbell back in Arizona to mentor Walter Nolen. So I think from a standpoint of developing a young player, teaching him right, making him understand what it takes to be a professional football player, this is, I think, what Walter Nolen needs, and it will benefit him in his career.
And I think the Calais Campbell part is really necessary because Walter Nolen can be as good as he wants to be. He can be dominant, Greeny. He has multiple position versatility, but I'd line him up at 3 techniques because a guy like this has to get vertical, that can hit gaps and get to the quarterback. When you pick a defensive tackle this high, you're expecting impact plays, not just tackles for losses. You want sacks, you want cause fumble. He's the twitchiest defensive tackle in the draft. He's got that, he can get upfield and get around the offensive guard and get to the quarterback. My only problem with it is I didn't see it consistently enough. He was a 5-star. He was the #1 recruit coming out of high school. He's been the guy for a long time. He's worn that burden. So now as he takes it to the next level, can we get the fries out of him? Can we get the sacks? Can we get the production? That's what I want to see.
Yeah, that was the thing, right? I mean, and I hate saying consistency when it comes to players, right? Because not every player does it all the time. You just want to see that that the pendulum swings to them being much more on than they're off. Walter, when he's on, and you talk about taking gaps, playing on the offensive side of the line of scrimmage, when they move him on stunts and he's slanting and he's running TTs inside, meaning tackles, he is disruptive as heck. But then, he'll just disappear and he'll get stuck on blocks and he's chasing the ball. If he can just smooth that out, they got a heck of a player.
Booger, you said it. ESPN ranked him the #1 recruit in the country coming out of high school in 2022. And now after an outstanding season at Ole Miss, he's an Arizona Cardinal. The celebration is on with the family, the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow's team on the clock. We'll hear from them after this.